The first week of the new high school football season is in the books, and that means it's in time for another edition of Sports Talk. I'm Tyler Sloan. While McKinney North and Boyd High Schools were defeated in two tightly contested games, McKinney High grabbed a victory on the road to start off their 2012 campaign with a win. We'll be joined by all three head coaches, take a look at the highlights, and look ahead to next week's action. It's all coming up next on Sports Talk. The McKinney Lions coming off a 55-46 victory in their first game of the season last Friday. I'm joined by Jeff Smith, their head coach. Coach, welcome to the show. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So you come off a season last year where you go 0-10, a lot of close losses, but this year, how relieved are you to get that first win right off the bat?
Man, I'm just so proud for our kids and our fans, our parents, and our coaches. You know, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into preparing every week, the off season, the summer, to prepare for your first week opponent. And you always want to get off to a great start. And for us, going through a tough year last year, it was really exciting for our kids, to experience that and get a good start. And so we're just real happy for them.
What were your expectations coming into this first game of the year with your team?
Well, we expected to win. I mean, we want to set the bar high, even though last year was tough. This was a brand new start for us, and we expected to win, wanted to win, prepared to win, and we knew Mansfield Legacy would be a good test. Athletically, they were very good, had a lot of speed. We were going on the road 2 hours. That's always a tough thing for a team to do. But we felt like we had a really good week of practice and that we were prepared, and 2 days was great. Our kids did a great job and came in ready to go. So we had a good feeling about it. We felt like if we went out that we had a good chance to win it if we just executed.
Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights from the game. You started off, it was a real shootout this game ended up being, and your running game was really effective early on. You had both your running backs, Candela and Shannon, carrying the ball effectively.
Yeah, it makes a difference when you can run the football and throw the football on offense. And I think that having Candela step up, this was his very first varsity football game, was just really big for us. It took a lot of heat off of the passing game. Jonathan Shannon did a great job, as always. And so, it opens up the play-action game, and we really were able to take advantage of it.
And your quarterback, Robert Somborn, he's been starting now for a couple of years, a real experienced quarterback to have. What kind of a leader is he on the field?
He's a great leader. He's been on our leadership council all 3 years. He's a student of the game. He studies it hard. He works extremely hard to be the best he can be. And so I know he's excited to lead this team. And you can just see his maturity. I mean, he had no interceptions, had 4 touchdowns, and he made great decisions.
Now, you start off your first drive with a touchdown, then Legacy answered right back with a touchdown of their own. What kind of mindset do you have in this sort of back and forth game? Do you feel like you have to score on every drive?
Well, I mean, you want to. Ideally, you want to start out where, you get a 3 and out by the defense, and then we score, and then we get another, 3 and out. And we started the game with a 3 and out, and then got the ball and scored, and then they did respond with a score. But we want it to be that way more than anything. We want to stop, give the ball to the offense, and go down and score with it.
Now, besides scoring, your defense, they gave up some points, but they also made a bunch of really spectacular plays in this game, really focusing in on that Legacy running game.
Yeah, stopping the run was big. They have a great running back. Their quarterback's a runner, too. They've got some great wideouts that can catch and run the ball. And so that was a big focus, was stopping the run. I thought we did a pretty good job stopping the run all night. They hurt us a little bit passing the ball, and it did become a little bit of a shootout just with giving them a short field a couple of times. But they're a good football team.
What was the strategy coming into this game with the running game? It seemed like you had a lot of north to south running that was really effective.
Yeah, we just it starts up front with those guys, those offensive linemen. They work extremely hard to try to open those holes up, and we got a couple of guys that understand where they need to hit it in the A gap or B gap, and so it was good to see them get north and south and get positive yards.
Now, Connor Fuentes had a big game for you at wide receiver. He had 7 receptions. We just saw a touchdown that he received there, 84 yards. What is the connection like between Sonborn and Fuentes going into this year?
Well, they've got to play together for the last couple of years, and this is their 3rd year, and they've got a great trust with one another. And in fact, we do a lot of 7-on-7. We do, excuse me, we do a lot of different things to work with that familiarity between receiver and quarterback, and it's important. And even still, we're still trying to work out the timing and knowing where guys are going to be, and Robert knowing each receiver. But he and Connor definitely have a closeness about knowing where they're going to be and how to connect.
We just saw a 27-yard touchdown pass to T.V. Williams. That was a big play in the game. What kind of a receiver is Williams? He's more of a deep threat, isn't he?
He is. He's got a lot of speed. He's the fastest guy on our team as far as full speed, and he and X Taylor both are very fast on our team. But TV really does a good job even on press coverage. He gets off press. He can stretch the field vertically, and that play action again right here, you can see the same play. He really is a good deep threat, and we're excited that he's on our team.
Now going into halftime, you're up 28-13 after they scored a Hail Mary type of play at the end of the half. How did that affect you guys going to the locker room, and how did you come out in the 3rd quarter for a good start?
Well, it's a great point in that it changed the momentum of the game. We had all the momentum, and we were trying to go down and really put a nail in the coffin right before halftime and really put them down. And we ended up having to punt it away, and they scored on a deep ball. Kid made a great catch for a legacy, but they gave them some momentum and took a little from us, and we came out and gave them the ball back, and they went down and scored, and it tightened up a little bit. And so more than anything, our kids have been in these situations, and it was just nice to see them respond and find a way to win.
Now early in the 4th quarter, Legacy had a 4th and 15 from your 24-yard line. That really turned out to be a big momentum swing in your favor because they're within 14. If they score a touchdown there, they get within 7.
Right. It's we had the points in the scoreboard. There were a lot, but we gave up one in the kicking game and gave them a short field a few times. I thought that we had some really big stops, some real big 3rd down stops. The 4th down stop was huge. It gave our offense the ball back, and ultimately, hey, we want to win the game and get better each week.
At one point in the 4th quarter, they answered one of your touchdowns with a 95-yard kickoff return of their own. You come right back and score a touchdown pass. What does that say about the character of your team?
Man, we are so proud of that, that our kids responded. We've been at times over the last couple of years where we weren't able to win those games. It didn't work out for us, and it was just exciting to see our kids embrace what happens, not lose their head, keep their poise, and go down and execute, and they did.
Then towards the end of the game, you're really able to run down the clock. How much of a benefit is it this year having 2 running backs instead of, Candela was injured last year, he couldn't play. How much is that benefiting your team this year?
Oh, it helps a lot. Having several backs, and we have more besides those 2 guys that can jump in and do their job and carry the ball. And when you have a lead like that, obviously you want to run the clock. You want to play the clock management game and chew time off so you can take the win. And it's good to have guys that will get 4 or 5 yards and run tough up in there and run over guys and carry tacklers and keep the clock moving. So it's very comforting, and we still need to keep developing all of our running backs, no doubt.
So looking back at this win, what are some of the things that you feel you worked on in the offseason in spring football and 7-on-7 that really showed up well in this first game?
I think just mental fortitude. I think perseverance. This game, it was hot Friday night. It's going to be hot again this Thursday night. It's that time of year to travel on a bus and get out and play an opponent that's a good football team, and to kind of, get the momentum and lose it and get it again and find a way to win. That says a lot about our kids, and we worked on that in the off-season a lot. Obviously, you want to get stronger and faster in the off-season, and that's a big part of it. But we worked on our character, and we worked on mental toughness, and we worked on things that are going to help us overall in those tight games. And I thought you saw that Friday night. And I mean, we're just getting started. We got a lot of work to do. Please understand that. Our kids are very hungry and are very excited about the chance, the opportunity to maybe become 2-0, and that's their focus right now.
Now, you mentioned earlier that long bus ride it took to get to your game on the road. Considering that you didn't win any games last year, not only to get your first victory this year in your first game, but on the road in such a tough environment, what is your approach to playing in these road games, and how does your team stand up to that task?
Well, I think a lot of it is just having a schedule, and the kids will laugh at me when I say that, because we're very regimented. We try to keep things very familiar, and we have a purpose for all the things that we do. And we had it mapped out to the minute, and what we would do and how the process goes, and they understand it. And fortunately, we got two buses with air conditioning, and believe it or not, that makes a big difference. Instead of sitting in traffic sweating, and we got there and the air conditioning was not running in the locker room, so it was hot in there. And so our kids have, believe it or not, mentally, you got to work through that stuff. I mean, you got to, not let that phase you. Still go through your routine, still go out and do what we do. And that's kind of how we have to do it. Is we tell them about it, we preach it to them, we keep them on a schedule, and they execute that schedule.
Looking ahead to next week, you play Frisco Heritage. They lost big time to Lovejoy. How do you play a team that didn't play their best in week 0, but they might come back and have a totally different game against you guys?
You know what? I don't think our team can take anybody for granted, especially coming off the year we did last year. And, obviously we got a good win that first week, but, we're going to take every game very serious. And I know Coach Hendricks and his staff do a great job. They're very sound. They coach those kids very, very well. And they're going to be in the right spots. And they're athletic. I mean, they've got some really athletic kids on that team. They played a Lovejoy team that's very good. But, they had a couple of things that capitalized, and the score got a little bit lopsided. But I'll tell you this, it was a lot closer than that. They're a good football team. And so we're going to have to come out and play well. We've got to take care of business and take care of the football and not beat ourselves and come out and execute. And so we have a lot of respect for them. And we will for everyone we play this year. So, anyway, they're a good team, and it'll be a good test for us.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for stopping by to talk to us about that great Week 1 win. And in Week 2, you play, again, that Frisco Heritage team and look for the McKinney Lions to go up 2-0 to start the new year.